Hey guys, my name is Keisha and welcome to the channel.
I have officially began the sewing process for my new look pattern. Yay! And so far, I've only cut the fabric, and that has gone pretty well. I was a little bit nervous around the cutting process because one of the tips I saw in my reading was to place tissue paper, I think, between the fabric and your table to keep the fabric from slipping under the pattern piece. But I didn't do that. I just used all of my washers, and I'll show you a picture of the washers that I used to make sure that my fabric was stable, and that proved me that did pretty good. It was a pretty good method for me. I told you all I don't like the concept of having to pin and move my pattern pieces and fabric around too much, so once my pattern piece is laid on the fabric, I like to just leave it stable as much as possible. One of the things though that I noticed as I was doing my markings, I forgot to tell you all that in the book I've been using as a reference, it tells us that for crepe de chine fabric, you should use a Pilot friction erasable ink pen, a Clover Chaco liner, or a Clover white marking pen for dark colors. So I did not have, because the fabric itself is dark, there were some light spots on here. As I was moving through my markings, some of the markings were actually showing up on the dark part of the leopard of the print itself. So I thought about, I use soap to mark those markings because I saw this used before on another channel, and I thought that would be easy, so I did use soap. But then I remembered that I also did have a white pen, and it's this pen here that I received, or I got from my Walwack order. I ordered a pack of the heat erasable pens, so I end up really using this white pen, and this worked pretty well on the dark spots. So I end up using a blue pen and a white pen to do my markings on the pattern, on the fabric pieces themselves. So yes, so I am going to be using or testing out the Microtex sharp needle, the 7010, and I was looking at the different seam finishes online, and I think I have settled for the flat fell seam finish. That seemed to be the most simple seam finish. Although the French seam isn't complicated, with the French seam you have to actually sew the fabric wrong sides together first, and then you fold it over, and you do some trimming down of the seam allowance, and you fold it back over. So it's a little bit more intuitive, I think, for me, at least for this dress. So I'm just gonna go ahead and try my hand at the flat fell seam finish on certain areas of the dress. And in my instructions, I went and just put a mark, or I indicated on here where I wanted to do the different flat fell finish. Interesting enough, in these instructions, it doesn't tell me to do any kind of stay stitching until after I've already put the pieces together, the front and the back. So I'm going to flip that and do my stay stitching before I attach the dress at the shoulder seams. I'm going to just stay stitch both the front and the back before I do that part. I just think it'll just be easier. It might be more clean for me. I did see where online someone said that it might not be a bad idea to use a walking foot, but again, I'm just going to go ahead and test everything on some scrap fabric using my standard presser foot, the 7010 needle, needle to the far left of the fabric. And what else was there I wanted to just keep with? Oh, and then of course the stitch length. The stitch, I said stitch. Don't want stitches. We want stitches. Stitch length to be 1.5 to 2.0. But I am also still going to do a basting stitch because if I make a mistake or something doesn't line up properly, I want to be able to remove those stitches pretty easily. So that's where I am right now. I am going to pull out my thread, get my machine threaded. I was thinking about taking a trip to Hobby Lobby again because I know they're having a really great sale on their McCall patterns, and I'm hoping that I can find something really nice at Hobby Lobby, because I do want to stock up on some patterns, because there's so much talk right now about, you know, what the big four is going to be doing. So I'm thinking about making a stop to Hobby Lobby soon. So if I do that, I will make sure that I come back and show you all what I found, maybe what I didn't find, but hopefully that'll go pretty smoothly. And I also want to get some fall and autumn fabric. So I don't want to get too much, but there was a particular print that I saw for 2 years now, this being the second year, and I think I want to get it. So I'm gonna go to Hobby Lobby and see if I can find that. But if I venture out and go to Hobby Lobby, I will be sure to let you guys know in a separate video how that experience was and what I was able to come away with. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and get this machine started and get the sewing done.
So I am going to be using both my brother and my Babylock. I am using my brother to do the basting stitches. I want to do the basting stitches in a white thread because I want to be able to see them really well, and also remove them once I am finished doing the final stitch for the gathering that has to be done around the bottom pattern piece, the bottom of the dress, and the top of the dress. So yeah, I'm going to be using both of my machines to get this dress done.
All right, so check this out, guys. As I was working through trying to thread my needle and use the automatic needle threader, it wouldn't thread. The automatic needle threader would not thread. So obviously I'm in a panic because I don't want to break anything. I don't want to take a risk in doing anything, you know, that will mess up my machine. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, did I thread this properly? Does this not take the standard, you know, Schmetz needles? Why is this happening? So I went to try to do a put a new needle in, just make sure I positioned it properly. It is in fact positioned properly, so much so that I used this little tool that they gave me that comes with the tools in the machine. It was like a little screwdriver. You put it on the side. I'll show you that in a second. But to get the screw out, but it was not working. So I went to the manual and I opened it up to the basic instructions or basic operation instructions for threading the needle. The memo says the very first bullet: the needle threader cannot be used with machine needle 75/11 through 100/16. The needle threader could not be used with the wing needle or the twin needle. What needle am I using? I'm using a 7010. At least I'm not having to use the manual threader for every needle. All right, I'm not sure if you can see way back there, but the one thing I noticed on the Babylock is this entire space here where the presser foot is and needle, it does sit back a little bit further from the front of the machine than it does on my brother. So I do have to kind of go back here a little bit more to do any kind of threading. But what I wanted to bring to your attention was this screw here. So this was on really tight and it doesn't easily come off. So you do in fact need to use the screwdriver that came with it to get this off. So I'm going to probably just keep that very handy and put that screwdriver in here because I don't want to have to keep going back and forth to the pouch for all of the accessories to keep pulling that out every time I want to change the needle. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. So I figured since before I go ahead and really get started with my sewing, I would show you guys just some of the very high level features of the machine. First and foremost, it comes with all these stitches here. Looks like there are about 4 different categories of stitches. This is my Babylock Brillant, by the way. I do like the idea that you can close it. It has this nice cover on it to keep, you know, dust and debris out of the machine. Pretty standard instructions or arrows for how you do all of your threading of your bobbin and the routing for your top stitch thread, you know, the thread that goes on top, and then of course there's the bobbin winder automatic there. This is the tension, you know, tension disc. Then I won't go into all of the mechanics here because I'm still learning a lot about the machine and you know, its capabilities and how to use the different functions, but this is in fact the screen here. So this here is the speed control for how fast your needle goes as you are sewing. So no matter how fast or slow you go or how fast you go on your machine, based off wherever this dial is, that's the max speed that your machine will go as you sew. I have not used this yet, but this is a thread cutter. So instead of me having to pull my thread and cut it on the side here, I can hit this button here and it will just automatically cut the thread for me. This is the needle up and down button. This is a reinforcement stitch. So instead of me doing a back stitch, I can do a single reinforcement stitch that will avoid you seeing or avoid people seeing the back and forth that you might see when you do a top stitch. This will do a reinforcement stitch on the bottom part of your garment. This is obviously the, well not obviously, but this is the back stitch button. And this too, based off however your speed is on this dial here, is how fast your back stitch will be. This here, this red button, is an indicator that your machine is or is not ready for sewing. Right now it's red because it's not ready to sew, and that's probably because my presser foot, my presser foot was up. So now that my presser foot is down, it's green. When I take it up, it's now red again. And here is the the presser foot lift. So this will automatically, well not automatically, but if I push it over with my knee, the presser foot will lift on my machine instead of me having to go behind it and lift it, although I still find myself doing that every once in a while. On the side here, you know what, I don't remember what this is for. I have to figure that part out. I don't know what that's for. Number 9, I have to go and look at my manual. But this is the cut. Oh, right, oh my gosh. That's for the automatic needle threader. When I push this down, it will automatically thread the needle. And the needle threading feature is right there at number 7. That diagram tells you how you pull it through. It's like a little groove. The thread goes between the top, the gray part, and the 7. So it's a little opening here that the thread goes in, and when it goes in, it clicks, and then once it clicks, you know that you're ready to thread your needle automatically by pressing down that number 9. I don't like how all this black stuff gets on my machine though. I don't know what that's about. So I'm definitely have to keep her covered because I don't like her looking dirty. Yeah, so that is that, and I will also show you guys, sorry about my angling here. This is a front arm. It does come out, so if I have to do sleeves or armbands, it goes on here. Push it back in. Oh, and I believe on the back side somewhere there is another storage bin I thought I saw. I think there's another storage bin back here somewhere. Or maybe not. I thought, oh yes, yeah. So there is another storage bin right here on the back side of the machine. And then there is a really much bigger storage bin right here. So that's where I would keep all the other supplies, extra bobbins, and some other presser feet, things like that. And I can take this tray up, and there's more space in there. So that's where I will probably keep my screwdrivers and things like that, because I want to have that handy as I'm, sewing and needing to change things out and all that great stuff. But yeah, so those are the general features of the Babylock. And again, I'll try to come back. I can't make a promise, but I will try to learn all of what's here in terms of the different keys and things. I also wanted to tell you another cool feature I forgot about, and it has to do with this this red button here, red or green. So if I unplug the presser foot, this button here functions as a start and stop. So if I hit it, it will automatically start sewing for me. If I hit it again, it will stop sewing. So this is great if you just don't want to do the presser foot. Maybe you're experiencing some kind of ailment, or your ankle's hurting, or whatever it might be. You can just use the button here, and it can do a start and stop stitching for you. I have not used that feature just yet, so don't know all of the limitations or capabilities with it, but it is another great feature I think to have. These days we really want so much to be automated, so if automation is making it easier, then we're all for it.
All right, so I already cut out my fabric pieces, and I had already sewn up the 2 back pieces together, and I did the flat fell seam finish and accidentally cut my fabric right on the back main piece. It was a long slit, and I was so frustrated. Oh my gosh. So I had to go and recut the 2 back pieces again. So yeah.
Whew. All right, y'all, so that didn't take too much time. I just think the whole process, just me thinking about it, was just weighing on me. But it took me about 8 minutes or so to go ahead and get this cut again. So it's cut again. Pattern markings have been done again. This time I'm going to be much more careful when I do my flat felled seam finish. So let's go ahead and see how this turns out.
Thanks for stopping by. Please like and subscribe for new content. Bye.